Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airways of YouTube. You know, before I get into my next guest, to continue a conversation we had this morning on ESPN's First Take, I just wanted to express my thoughts about the news that Caitlin Clark was being left off of Team USA, the Olympic team, as a rookie. I was on the record this morning saying this was an idiotic decision by Team USA. I just want the world to know I haven't changed my mind one damn bit. I think it was idiocy, personally. I want to make sure that everybody understands what I'm saying. From a basketball standpoint, I'm not talking about that at all. Every single player that's on Team USA deserved to be there ahead of Caitlin Clark. Without question. Without question. Every single person that's on that roster. We all know Asia Wilson is the one in the league. She's the standard, okay? We know that. We understand that everybody that's on this team has deserved it. Their play has warranted it. They've played better than Caitlin Clark thus far. I get all of that. I'm not thinking about basketball. I'm thinking purely about marketing. I'm thinking about the fact that the WNBA swears they want to elevate its brand, that women's basketball obviously deserves a higher profile. They've been lamenting the fact that they haven't gotten the shine that they so richly deserve and has worked diligently for decades. The WNBA is entering its 28th season, for crying out loud. They've never gotten the hype that they've received over the last month or so since Caitlin Clark has arrived on the scene. Record ratings, record revenue, everything that you could think, record attendance, everything. They've never had it before. Knowing that, and knowing what a global platform the Olympics provides and what that could ultimately do for the WNBA if you had her participating, I think they missed the boat on passing that up. That's where I stand with it. That's what I believe is fair to say. But I'm not the only voice here that matters. I brought on what I consider to be, who I consider to be, an elite voice. She has emerged as a star in this business. She does a phenomenal job as a basketball analyst for ESPN, WNBA basketball, women's college basketball, NBA basketball, the list goes on and on. I think she's brilliant. I think she's fantastic. I love having her on any platform that I am on. I am talking about the one and only Andrea Carter, former college basketball player at the University of Tennessee, by the way. What's going on, Andrea? How you doing? How's everything?
What's up, Stephen A? First of all, always happy to chat with you. Always happy to break it down, to get into it. Let me just start by saying this. I am a fan of Caitlin Clark. I have a cereal box with her face on it by my door. I got into an argument with you about her GOAT status. And this has nothing to do with how I feel about Caitlin. From the basketball perspective, you already said it. I said it all morning. There's not a basketball reason for Caitlin to be on this team. She did not participate in any camps. She could not participate in any qualifying tournaments. These players on this roster have been working for this opportunity since 2022. Let's just go ahead and make that very, very clear. Multiple players on this roster, they've played with each other. They have played together. And I've also heard people talking about the first notion that USA is going to win anyway. Why not just give Caitlin Clark a spot? Spots 11, 12, spot 10 on that roster, those spots matter in terms of chemistry, in terms of continuity, in terms of familiarity. The Olympics is a tall task. And for people to just think, well, USA is going to win anyway, why not sacrifice a little of the integrity of the roster for a marketing perspective, blows my mind. One, you see the roster the men's team just put together? They're not playing around. And I know the NBA might not need
they
marketing.
Can't afford to, Andrea. They can't afford
that,
to.
Stephen A. But I think the W can afford to in the long run, because hear me out. The men aren't playing around because they've realized the rest of the world has caught up. The reason why it takes the rest of the world to catch up is you take some L's. The women's side on Team USA can't afford that. They can't afford lack of continuity. They can't afford lack of chemistry, because whether people believe it or not, women's teams around the country are also catching up. What's a worse marketing tool to lose gold? And there are people saying, oh, there's no chance. But why not make that as sure a possibility as you possibly can?
Okay.
Winning gold is the ultimate marketing tool. I get what you're saying, Stephen A. I get what you're saying. But matter of fact, I'm going to let you go. I just think marketing, while it's great, Caitlin is already marketing the W, and a little bit of rest for Caitlin and having her come back from the Olympic break and having her be in the All-Star game and having her finish the season strong. That's marketing in itself. People are going to tune in. It's the Olympics. People have more grievances. People have more grievances against this country, and they still find a way to tune into the Olympics. Let me
interject. Let me interject here, Andrea. Okay, so let's go down this roster, okay? Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum, Jewel Lloyd, Brittany Griner, Diana Taurasi, Chelsea Gray, Alyssa Thomas, Nafisa Collier, Jackie Young, and Kalia Copper, all right? Let me ask you this question. Mm-hmm. One of those players come off because of Caitlin Clark. You telling me Team USA gonna lose?
Who? Stephen A.
Just one. Any one of them.
Do you want to know?
You telling me Team USA gonna lose?
No. Stephen A., I hear you, but listen, just hear me out for a second on this. Because who are you taking off the roster? Because let's just think from
I don't know.
Perspective.
I have no clue.
You're not gonna take a post off. You're gonna take the 2021 WNBA Finals MVP off that list. That's Kalia Copper, and 2 of her teammates are on that team. You're gonna take Jackie Young, Kelsey. You're gonna take Jackie Young or Kelsey Plum off that list. They're the most dynamic duo, one of the most dynamic duos in basketball, and they're Asia Wilson's teammates. Those 3 plus Chelsea Gray, which we don't know Chelsea Gray's status, and I get that, but we can't make assumptions on Chelsea Gray until we see Chelsea Gray, period. Because Chelsea Gray is the greatest point guard that the W has seen. So if she's saying she's
But she hasn't played all year due to injury. She hasn't played all year due to injury, right?
We don't know what her individual workouts look like. We don't know what she's been doing.
That's fair.
We have no idea. We can't say that. She's attended camp. So we can't speak to that. Now, if Chelsea Gray comes out and she can't move and she can't walk and whatever, then maybe people can have some grievances and that's fine, but we're speaking too soon. We're speaking on things that we don't know. I don't know what Chelsea Gray has been doing on the court. Nobody does. So there's that. I also want you to think about this, Stephen A. While Caitlin has been an incredible marketing tool for the W, what we have seen this season already is that anything that looks like a slight against Caitlin has been taken as a slight against Caitlin. So think about this. Just picture it for me for a second. Just think. And this is these are Caitlin's own words. No disappointment. It gives me something to work for. It's a dream. One day I can be there. Caitlin handled this quote perfectly, just like Caitlin has handled a multitude of quotes perfectly. Caitlin, in my opinion, has said a ton of the right things. And at times, Stephen A., it still hasn't mattered what Caitlin has said. Caitlin herself came out and said this was a physical league and this is what she expected. And what were we? But hear me out, Stephen A. Imagine this. A picture is taken at the Olympics in Paris. The team is standing together. Caitlin got caught talking to somebody and she's on the outside of the little team group. That picture is going to be taken. And what's the headline going to be? What's the headline going to be at the Olympics if that picture is taken? Caitlin Clark left out of the team meeting. Caitlin Clark standing on the side. Caitlin Clark not embraced by Team USA. I'm just saying, when Caitlin has no familiarity with these players, no familiarity with the coach, no chemistry with anybody, why put her in that situation when you know people are going to be looking for the negative?
Andrea, you are such a fantastic basketball analyst. I can't believe how lost you are on this subject. Nobody, listen to me now. No, listen to me. Nobody is saying from a basketball perspective that Caitlin Clark belongs on this team ahead of any of these players. We all know she does not. What we're saying is, and nobody has brought up her feelings or of disappointment. We don't care in the grand scheme of things. Stuff happens. Like I told you on First Take this morning, Isaiah Thomas to me, that's the biggest crime. Isaiah Thomas not being on the original Dream Team. We all know this. But what I am saying, Christian Laettner was on the Dream Team ahead of Shaquille O'Neal and Alonzo Mourning. There's a lot to debate about in regards to people who have been snubbed and people who have been chosen. What I am saying to you is that women's basketball and recognition for the great work that women have done to promote the sport has spent a vast majority of the past 2+ decades falling on deaf ears because people did not care. You now have somebody that has the world transfixed on the sport to a point where, regardless of what she's lacking compared to the others, the eyeballs are following her. And as a result, she's elevating the brand. By elevating the brand, everyone stands to benefit. Why would you pass up an international stage to promote your sport just because you want things completely done on its merit, when the merits don't necessarily get you paid because it doesn't get you the cachet and the recognition they undoubtedly, richly have deserved forever? How is that a point y'all are not getting?
I hear you on the marketing perspective, Stephen A. I promise you. But when Caitlin first joined the W and she was taking hits left and right, she gets hit by Ezi Magbagor in the head. Ezi Magbagor plays for Seattle. What do people start to say? Wow, Caitlin's being targeted in the league. Meanwhile, me, Shanae, anyone who knows the league says, no, that's just Ezi Magbagor. Like that's what she's used to. Now this negative narrative is painted on the league for targeting Caitlin Clark. So now I want you to keep that in mind, right? Keep that in mind. Yes, a ton of eyes are on the league, but every little thing that happens to Caitlin is dissected. And it's not Caitlin's fault. We have dissected every hit, Kennedy Carter's hit aside, because I already told you aside that I thought Kennedy Carter's hit was out of line. I thought her comments on the back end were comments that a hater would make. So Kennedy Carter aside, everything else that has happened to Caitlin, we have dissected it to a T. And even when Caitlin has come out to say it's not a big deal, people have still claimed it's a big deal. So you want to put Caitlin, which now we have seen, yes, she can grow the market. Wonderful. We love that. But now you want to put her in a situation where she doesn't know anybody. She doesn't know the coach. She hasn't had any time to gel with this team. She might not get very much playing time. It's more physical overseas.
And I'm asking you, why do you care? I'm asking you, why do you care if that's going to lead to uplifting the profile of the sport, which will get everybody what they've richly deserved for years? Why do you care about that? That's my point.
When there's potential for it to be dissected to a T, everything that happens, a potential something that is unintended be taken in a negative light. And what is that, Stephen A? It's a distraction to the ultimate goal for Team USA. For Team USA, the goal is distractions. Gold.
I think Team USA will still get the gold, and ultimately distractions are what end up funneling money into your coffers, which pays the bills. What's the problem? That's Stephen publicity. The news every day is led with some form of negativity. Murder, robbery, crime, whatever it is. They don't lead with the feel-good stories. Why? Because it doesn't sell. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the WNBA selling, Team USA selling.
Stephen A., the news station is not trying to have a team focused on a mission. The news station is reporting the news. That's what they're supposed to do. But when
you think Caitlin Clark would compromise the mission? You think Caitlin Clark would compromise the mission? You think her being a 12th spot on this team, she would compromise the mission?
The media, anybody trying to pick this apart, anybody trying to paint it in a negative light, just like they did when she joined the W. I'm just saying it's a distraction, and what Team USA seems to be focused on is the mission. That's why they put together the best basketball roster. That's why they've eliminated any possibility of anything being speculated, because, Stephen A., it goes back to the chemistry. When Caitlin knows her teammates, when she's played overseas with some of them on an international stage for the Pan American Games or a qualifying tournament, and she knows them and she can speak to them and they can speak to her, and she's ready for this stage. In 4 years, if the opportunity is there, the growth will be astronomical. You're saying I'm thinking small, but I think you're thinking small, which is of course how arguments go, right? Like there are two sides to this. But to
Yeah.
me, the
Yeah.
bigger picture
Yeah, I'm arguing
is
marketing.
ahead.
I'm arguing marketing, and you're talking about the integrity of including her on the Olympic team as a rookie. I'm talking marketing. That's the difference between the arguments that we're making. Let me ask you this
But you're
question.
ignoring, no, you're ignoring the
Okay.
potential negative aspect of the market. You're
Totally.
completely ignoring
You're
that.
right about that. You're right about that. But the reason I'm ignoring it,
I don't think the committee's ignoring that.
I'll admit it. The reason I'm ignoring it, because I know what the committee wants. I know what the WNBA wants. I know what women throughout this world want when it comes to women's basketball. And I believe that supersedes the valid concerns that you're bringing up. That's really what it comes down to. But let me ask you this. Are you going to be okay if Caitlin Clark is left off the team, but ratings are compromised? The cachet that you could have capitalized off of, you missed out on. And the WNBA, led by the great Asia Wilson, Team USA, led by her, the great Diana Taurasi and Chelsea Gray and others. Are you going to be okay if the ratings and the revenue, it's reported that it doesn't equate or doesn't reach anywhere close to where it would have been if Caitlin Clark had been on the squad? Are you going to be okay with that, Andrea Carter?
How do we know what they would have been with Caitlin on the squad?
I'm asking you. I'm just asking. I'm asking a hypothetical. I don't know. I'm asking you a hypothetical question. Are you going to be okay with that? That's what I want an answer to.
I'm okay with growth in the long term if it sacrifices the immediate, if it's better in the long term. I am okay with that. I am, because what I'm not okay with is something negative happening or being painted in a negative way. Again, this is not Caitlin's fault, but every single thing, a missed high five, a missed chest bump, standing on the outside of a huddle, every single thing is dissected. And if it's painted in a negative light and it's distracting and she's not ready to even play on that stage, why would we do that right now? Why would we do that right now? We being the committee. I'm just thinking like the committee. I'm not saying
But I think you, on behalf of the committee, based off of what you're saying, is thinking about her well-being. And I can give you countless examples where the individual's well-being was ignored and shoved to the side for the betterment of the whole collective product and the game itself. It's been done over the years. It's being done with the NFL right now. They're talking about safety. But remember, they had games on Sundays and Monday nights, and then they got games on Thursdays. Now this year, they're planning on having a game on a Wednesday, for crying out loud. They don't get, damn. Everywhere you hear all of this stuff. You ain't thinking about the well-being of the individual. You're thinking about the well-being of the collective whole. It happens in business. It happens in the business of sports all the time. It's been happening to men for decades. It's been happening to women for decades. How in God's name is that suddenly a surprise to us now? I'll give you the last word, Andrea.
It's not a surprise, Stephen A. I'm just saying, then thinking about the committee, there is one mission. And players 10, 11, and 12 are all a part of that mission in terms of chemistry, in terms of familiarity, in terms of knowing each other, in terms of knowing how to push each other's button. Saying Caitlin should go sit on the sidelines to be a marketing tool is absolutely egregious to me. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's the Olympics. The marketing for the Olympics is exactly what it is. Millions of people watch Team USA take on gold. Go look at Team USA when they played in Beijing. Go look when they played for the gold. The stadium was full. Caitlin playing in the W will continue to grow the W. Putting her on this stage with players that she is not familiar with after not participating in any camp and playing basketball since November, so she can be a marketing tool. I know it's happened before, but just because it's happened in the past doesn't mean we need to keep it going.